I'm going to be interviewing Reverend Jimmy Morrison today about his experience in life and more specifically education. Father Morrison, begin by telling us briefly about yourself, your family, and your hometown.
All right. Well, I'm 27 years old. I was just ordained a priest for the Roman Catholic Church in June of 2010, so a little over 3 months ago, I guess. And I grew up on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in a little town called Long Beach, Mississippi, on a piece of property. Some of my family were some of the first settlers there, so we all grew up together with my extended family and my grandmother. I have a twin sister who was recently just got married, and I have an older brother who lives in Florida as a chef. And my mother passed away when I was young, about 12 years old, and my father lives in Pasquotank, Mississippi with his new wife.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your high school experience. You went to Mississippi School of Math and Science. What type of classes were you exposed to, and what were some of the things that you liked or disliked about the culture there?
Well, at Mississippi School for Math and Science, I was exposed to a lot of different types of classes. I mean, as the name suggests, there was a lot of math and science courses, as you might imagine, but it was also pretty diverse as far as, you took, literature classes, Southern literature class, you took, the normal kind of history classes, government, those types of things. But, they really emphasized math and science. You could take a lot of higher level, college level courses. So I took differential equations, which is normally a class you wouldn't take till your sophomore or junior year of college. And then I took, calculus 1, 2, and 3 there at the Mississippi School for Math and Science. I also took, you take a lot of chemistry, so I took a couple of chemistry courses and even took organic chemistry my senior year of high school. So it was a very, focused academics, but it really was a good experience because the structure was much more similar to college, where you had a lot of free time, and it was a good environment. All the teachers were very interested in helping the students to learn, and there was just a certain amount of freedom where you weren't being watched over, which really provided the right, grounds to cultivate people, wanting to study and wanting to learn. But also they had, you lived with all your friends. So it was a boarding high school, which,
right,
can be kind of rigid, but it wasn't that rigid. So it was fun because you were always living with your friends, and you had people around all the time to do stuff with. And they kind of worked on a system of the better grades you made, the more freedom you had. So if you made really good grades, then you were free to kind of do what you wanted. So that, that was kind of the motivation
right,
on some level to make good grades, was to have the freedom to come and go as you please and drive your car when you want, where you want. And, so it was I enjoyed the environment a lot.
Okay. Now, after you graduated MSMS, and before you went into seminary, you were a student at USA. What was your major there, and what were some of your experiences at University of South Alabama?
Yeah, after leaving MSMS, I moved to Mobile and studied at the University of South Alabama. I studied chemical engineering, and I had very good experiences there. It was, a good environment. I felt like the professors cared about the students, but also, there was time and space. Same way with college, you have a lot more freedom to pursue your studies and also to pursue other things like, developing friendships. And I liked intramural sports a lot, so I played a lot of intramural sports.
Okay.
And, I was fortunate enough, to have a scholarship and to have, some financial support with student loans where I didn't have to work. So I think that's a big advantage for students that don't have to work, because you have so much time to dedicate towards studies that you can study and learn a lot, but you also have plenty of time to enjoy life and visit with friends. And
Right.
so it's, part of coming from the Mississippi School for Math and Science background, I had a head start in a lot of ways, in classes, and also being disciplined with my time. So it was a very easy transition into college, and, I enjoyed all my time at South.
Okay. Well, your senior year at South, and now you were, what was your major at South?
chemical engineering.
Okay, you were beginning your senior year in chemical engineering at South when you decided to go into the seminary. Did you know at the time when you left that becoming a priest was definitely what you were supposed to be doing, or?
No, it's kind of a funny story. So, junior year, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I wanted to do with graduate school, because I had kind of gotten tired of school. I'd been kind of in a rigorous academic environment for a while, but I also liked school. So I was trying to really figure out where I wanted to go to graduate school or if I just wanted to start work. And in the midst of all that, the question started to come up about what do you even want to do with life, because you need to know that to know if I should do graduate school or just start work. And I'd always done well, I guess, in engineering, chemical engineering specifically, so I just figured that's what I was supposed to do. But when I started thinking more deeply about those types of things, I wasn't sure, and I started to feel like I should consider becoming a priest in ministry. And so I entered the seminary really, I guess, much the same way you would enter maybe medical school. Big commitment, but you're not totally on board. You're there to learn about medicine, like I was there to learn about being a priest. And all the while you're trying to figure out, does this fit me? Does this match? And, step by step, you endure the process and you figure out, does this fit or not? Right. And I slowly became convinced that it did fit and it was something I would find enjoyable. And so that was it's 6 years of study, so an additional 6 years of study.
So it was a big decision.
It was a big decision. It's kind of funny how, I guess, life worked out, because part of the main reason why I went to South Alabama was after living in a dorm for 2 years at MSMS, the boarding high school. I didn't want to live in a dorm, and I had the option to live in a house at the University of South Alabama. So that's kind of my main focus of going there. And then also my main motivating factor to lead me into the seminary was thinking about how I was tired of studies and, trying to discern if I just wanted to start work right away.
Right.
So the irony of it all is seminary ended up meaning 6 years of living in a dorm, sharing bathrooms, all that kind of stuff, and 6 more years of study. So somehow all those things played out. I don't exactly understand it, but
well, you might have answered some of this, but what are some of the differences between college life at USA and seminary life at St. Joseph's in Louisiana?
I'll say this. One thing I was very surprised with when I first entered seminary, coming from chemical engineering and a lot of rigorous study, I kind of expected seminary academically to be very light and kind of, something you can just shrug off, but it's actually very academic. It's a different side. It's very much focused on the humanities and, understanding Scripture and our revelation from God, but understanding humanity and how to, bridge that gap and kind of be in, so it was a very rigorous study of philosophy at St. Joseph Seminary College. So academically, it was very different in what I was studying, but it was the same in the intensity. And in a lot of ways, it was, I guess, more like MSMS, my high school experience, that you had a group of people that were motivated to study, and you kind of lived in a community together, and you kind of fed off each other's enthusiasm, which was helpful. And I used to say, which is kind of funny, but it's true, that seminary, strangely enough, especially at that seminary, is kind of like the way you stereotypically see college life in movies, without necessarily the alcohol and the girls, I guess. But it was really just a great community life of people really, there was always parties going on, and people were just, a good spirit all throughout the campus. And, it was, it was a very rewarding experience to have those 2 years there to study and, experience that. And it's also on a monastery, which was very interesting to me. It's separate from the monastery, but you get to see the way the monks pray and kind of their commitment to prayer. And it's a nice and quiet environment to draw into that as well. So